Number 6 says Bahai works in a shop that sells mobile phones. Last week he sold one mobile phone to each of 300 customers. The incomplete two-way table shows some information about these mobile phones. So we have two categories, type A and type B. And then we have three categories for the size. We have 32 GB, 64 GB, and 128 GB. We have to complete the two-way table. So if you notice, the total number of type A phones are 195, and we need to find the 64 GB one. So we subtract 75 and 83 from 195. That's going to give us 37. Then for type B 32 GB, we can subtract 75 from 127, which will give us 52. For 64 GB total, we can add 37 and 29, which is 66. Then for total number of type B, we can subtract 195 from 300, which is 105. For the total number of 128 GB, we can subtract 127 and 66 from 300, which equals 207. And for the 128 GB type E phones, we can subtract 83 from 107, which is 24. So two-way tables are very easy, but some people still struggle and like get confused when you see the table. You just have to, see what the total is for each row and column and add or subtract depending on what you have to find the missing values. And it says Bohai selects at random one of these 300 customers. Write on the probability that this customer bought a type B 64 GB mobile phone. So for a type B 64 GB mobile phone, type B 64 GB. So type B 64 GB are given as 29. And total number of phones are 300. So the probability is going to be 29 over 300. Then it says Bahai now selects at random one of the customers who bought a type A phone last week. Write on the probability that this customer bought a 128 GB mobile phone. So it's type A and it's 128 GB. Type A, 128 GB. So that's 83. And the total number of type A phones are 195. So if we go back to the question, it was saying that he bought a type A phone last week. So we know that it's from the type A phones. And from the type A phones, it is 128 GB. So that's going to be 83, which was the number of 128 type A phones. And the total number of type A phones are 195. So that's your answer. For question 13, the diagram shows the classroom wall in the shape of a trapezium. Diane wants to paint the classroom wall completely twice. He knows that each tin of paint will cover 12 meters square. He's going to have to buy all the paint he needs. Work out the least number of tin of paints that Dion will need to buy. Show your working clearly. So first, let's begin finding the area of the wall. So it's a trapezium. Area of a trapezium has the formula of 1 over 2 times the height times the sum of parallel sides. A and B are your parallel sides. So as you can see, these two are the parallel sides and this is your height. Height is always your perpendicular height, never the slant height. Hence, 6.5 is the height. So substitute the values 1 over 2 times 6.5 times sum of 2.5 plus 3.5, which is going to give us 19.5 meters square. Now, if you go back to the question, it says that he will paint the classroom wall completely twice. So total area painted will be 19.5 times 2, which is 39 meters square. Now, each tin of paint will cover 12 meters square. So to figure out how many number of tins we need, we divide the area of the wall by the area that each tin of paint covers. So 39 divided by 12, which is equal to 3.25. Now, obviously, we cannot buy 3.25 tins of paint. Like, it has to be an entire tin of paint. They won't give us a 0.25 tin. So the least number of tins we require is going to be 4 tins. That's your answer. Question 17 says, Daniel, Gabrielle, and Hattie share some money in the ratio of 3:5:9. The difference between the amount of money that Gabrielle receives and the amount of money that Hadley receives is 196 euros. Work out the amount of money that Daniel receives. So let's first create fractions for each of these people. So for Daniel, that's going to be 3 over sum of 3, 5, and 9, which is 17. 3 plus 5 plus 9 is 70. When creating fractions out of the ratios, the denominator will always be the sum of values in the ratio, and numerator is the number assigned to that particular person in the ratio. So that's why 3 over 17 times x. X is the total amount of money. Similarly, for Gabrielle, that's going to be 5 over 17 times x. And for Hadley, that's 9 over 17 times x. We know that the difference between Gabrielle's and Hadley's amount is 196. So 196 equals to 9 over 17x minus 5 over 17x. Cross multiply 196 times 17 equals to 9x minus 5x, which is 4x. 196 times 17 is 3,332. We divide both sides by 4 to get the value of x, which is going to be 833 euros. That is your total amount. Now, for Daniel's amount, we'll just do 3 over 17 times 833, which is equal to 147 euros. So that is his share. Question 19 says Sarah makes and sells mugs. One day she makes 150 mugs. Her total cost for making these mugs is 1,140 pounds. Of these mugs, 2/5 are small mugs, 32% are medium mugs, and the rest are large mugs. Here is Sarah's price list for selling each mug. So small mugs cost 8.50 pounds, medium 11.20 pounds, and large 14.20 pounds. Sarah sells all 150 mugs. Work out a percentage profit, giving your answer correct to the nearest whole number. So first, let's begin finding the number of mugs there are for the small, medium, and large. For small, it's 2/5 of 150, which is equal to 60 mugs. For medium, it's 32% of 150, which is equal to 48 mugs. And for large, it's going to be 150 minus 60 minus 48, which is equal to 42 mugs. Now, once we found the number of mugs for small, medium, and large, let's find how much she'll be earning after selling these mugs. So for small, it's going to be 60 times 8.50, which is equal to 510 pounds. For medium, it's going to be 48 times 11.20, which is equal to 537.6 pounds. And for the large one, it's going to be 42 times 14.20 pounds, which is equal to 596.4 pounds. They already told us that the total cost for making these ones is 1,140. So to calculate the percentage profit, we will subtract the total selling price and the total cost, and then divide it by the total cost, and then times it by 100. So first, let's find the total selling price. That's going to be the sum of all these. So 510 plus 587.6 and plus 596.4, which adds up to 1,644 pounds. So percentage profit is 1,644 minus 1,140 divided by 1,140 and times it by 100. That is going to give us 44.2%. They want the answer correct to the nearest whole number. So that's going to be 44%. That's the answer. So remember, when you're trying to find the percentage profit, you subtract the selling price from the cost price and then divide it by the cost price and then times the result by 100. That is the formula for percentage profit. If it's just profit, you do selling minus cost. I'll write that over here. Profit is selling minus cost price. Question 20 says Jenny has 6 cards. Each card has a whole number written on it so that the smallest number is 5, the largest number is 24, and the median of the 6 numbers is 14. The mode of the 6 numbers is 8. Jenny arranges her cards so that the numbers are in order of size. For the remaining 4 cards, write on each dotted line a number that could be on the card. So if the mode is A, that means there has to be 2 cards at least which have 8 written on it. Secondly, they said median is 14. So median is going to be the number that's in the middle of these two. So basically the average of these two numbers. So if we write 14 equals to 8 plus y divided by 2, cross multiply. 14 times 2 equals to 8 plus y. 28 equals to 8 plus y. And 28 minus 8 is going to be y, which is 20. Which means this card is 20. Now, since the numbers are arranged in ascending order, the card over here will have any number that's between 20 and 24, and it has to be a whole number. So you can write this card as 21, you can write it as 22 or 23. Either of these three will work over here. So I'm going to choose 22. Then it says a basketball team plays 6 games. After playing 5 games, the team has a mean score of 21 points per game. After playing 6 games, the team has a mean score of 23 points per game. Work out the number of points the team scored in its 6th game. So this is a very repetitive question that comes almost every year. And if you understand like what they're asking for, you should easily be able to score the marks. So if you look at the question again, the basketball team plays 6 games. After playing 5 games, they have a mean score of 21 points per game. So let's first figure out what would be the sum of score for all of the 5 games. Mean value has the formula of sum divided by the number of values, basically a frequency. So we don't know the sum, but we know the mean value and we know the number of games, which is 5 over here. So we know 21 equals to sum of scores divided by 5. Once again, they played 5 games. and the mean value after playing the 5 games is 21. And we are trying to figure out what is the sum of scores for all of the 5 games. So then we cross multiply. You want 21 times 5, which is equal to the sum of scores. 21 times 5 is 105. That is your sum of scores for the first 5 games. Now we move to the 6 games. After playing 6 games, the team has a mean score of 23 points per game. So we know the score for the first 5 games, which is 105. So 23 equals to 105 plus x. X is your score in the 6th game. For 5 games, your sum of scores was 105 based on our calculation. So to find the score of the 6th game, that means the first 105 score from the first 5 games gets added to x to get the mean value of 23 for the 6 games. So now we do 23 times 6 equals to 105 plus x, which is 138 equals to 105 plus x. We do 138 minus 105, which is equal to 33. So 33 is what they scored in the 6th game. If you look at question number 22, it says that we have a universal set which has the values of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. A intersection B is 5, 10, and 15, which means the numbers in the middle are going to be 5, 10, and 15. The overlapping region in the Venn diagram, that's your intersection. Intersection means the elements that are common in both the sets. That's 5, 10, and 15. B complement means the elements that are not in B. So elements that are not in B and elements that are common in A and B. And A complement, obviously, the elements that are not in A. So elements that are not in A. So mostly they give the elements that are in A and B, but over here they did the opposite thing. So you don't need to get scared. The method is still pretty simple. You just need to think of it strategically. So A intersection B is 5, 10, 15. So these 3 numbers automatically come in the middle, in the common part. Now, B complement is 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. If we compare B complement, A complement, we can see that we have 7, 8, and 14 common. So if 7, 8, and 14 are common, which means they're neither in A or B, they're outside them. So 7, 8, and 14 are outside because this is the common region which is not a part of A or B. So now that leaves us with A complement, which has 4 and 6. So which means B has 4 and 6. And B complement leaves us with 9, 11, 12, 13, which means A would have 9, 11, 12, and 13. So this is how you complete your Venn diagram if they've given you A complement or B complement. Remember, the elements that are common in the A complement and B complement, those will be outside the sets, not inside. And then the remaining ones, you can easily see which one will come in B and which one will come in A. Question 15 says, here is a list of the ingredients needed to make 12 chocolate brownies. So we have the ingredients for 12 chocolate brownies. We need 150 grams of flour, 50 grams of chocolate spread, and 3 eggs. Thalia buys exactly enough of these ingredients to make 120 of these brownies. 1.5 kg of flour costs 1.30 pounds. 500 grams of chocolate spread costs 2.60 pounds. And 6 eggs cost 1.10 pounds. Thalia sells all 120 brownies at 0.40 pounds each. Work out the profit that she makes. So this is very similar to the question that in the paper one foundation in this video. We were trying to find the percentage profit. And as I told you, for percentage profit, you do selling price minus cost price divided by cost price times 100. But when it's just profit, you do selling minus cost price. So over here, we need to find what the selling price is for the 120 brownies, like the complete selling price, and what is the cost price for the 120 brownies. So let's begin with finding the selling price. So we know that we're going to sell 120 brownies, and she's selling them at $0.40 each. So selling price is going to be 120 times 0.40, which is going to give us 48 pounds. Now, they have given us the ingredients for 12 brownies, and she's going to make 120 brownies. So that means we're going to multiply all of these quantities by 10. So times 10, times 10, times 10. That will give us the ingredients that we need for 120 brownies. So for flour, it's going to be 1500 grams. For chocolate spread, it's going to be 2500 grams. And for eggs, it's 30 eggs. So this is what we need to make 120 brownies. Now, if you look at the cost, 1.5 kg of flour is 1.30 pounds. So 1.5 kg written in grams is 1500 because you multiply 1.5 with 1000 because 1 kg is 1000 grams. So that's 1500 grams. For the chocolate spread now, we have the cost of 500 grams. Over here, we have 2500 grams. So that means you will multiply 2.60 by 5 because 500 times 5 is 2500. So cost of flour is the same. That's 1.30 pounds for the 120 brownies as well. Cost of chocolate spread, that's going to be 2.60 times 5. So that's going to be 13 pounds. And then for cost of eggs, they gave us the cost of 6 eggs, which is 1.10 pounds. So to find the cost of 30 eggs, we will times this by 5 as well. So cost of eggs would be 1.10 times 5, which is 5.50 pounds. So now we have the cost for flour, eggs, and chocolate spread that we need for 120 brownies. So total cost would be the sum of these three. So 1.30 plus 13 plus 5.50, which is equal to 19.8 pounds. So profit, like I said, is selling price minus the cost price. Selling price is 48 pounds and cost is 19.8 pounds. So he'll be earning a profit of 28.2 pounds. That's your answer. Question 21 says a bag contains only pink sweets, white sweets, green sweets, and red sweets. The table gives each of the probabilities that when a sweet is taken at random from the bag, the sweet will be green or the sweet will be red. The ratio of the number of pink sweets to the number of white sweets is 2:1. There are 28 red sweets in the bag. Work out the number of white sweets in the bag. So for this, since the number of pink sweets is number of white sweets is 2:1, so whatever is the number of white sweets, pink sweets would be twice of that. So the probabilities would also be like that. If the probability of white sweets is X, the probability of pink sweets will be 2x. Okay. So now let's find the value of x first. So the overall probability of you getting a sweet from the bag is equal to 1. And that 1 equals to the sum of all of these probabilities. So 1 equals to 2x plus x plus 0.2 plus 0.35. So that's 1 equals to 3x plus 0.55. 1 minus 0.55 equals to 3x, which is going to be 0.45. And then you divide both sides by 3 to find the value of x, which is 0.15. Now, once we have the value of x, we know that the probability of pink sweets is going to be 2 times 0.15, which is 0.3. And the probability of white sweets is going to be 0.5, which is x. The question says there are 28 red sweets in the bag. So if there are 28 red sweets, that means total sweets are going to be 28 divided by 0.35, which is equal to 80. Why 28 divided by 0.35? Because your, what's it called? The red sweets are basically 0.35 times the total. Since the total is what we're trying to find and R is 28. So 28 divided by 0.35 will give us the total value, which is 80. So now for the number of white sweets, we have 0.15 times 80, which is equal to 12. So we have 12 white sweets. Question 26 is diagram shows a regular 10-sided polygon A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Show that x equals to y. So since it's a regular 10-sided polygon, that means all of these lengths are the same measurement. Okay. Now, next thing we can do is we can figure out what the interior angle is. So for each interior angle, the formula we use is n minus 2 times 180 over n. This formula is applicable when you have a regular polygon. So n is your number of sides. So as you can see, we have 10 sides. So 10 minus 2 times 180 over 10 gives us the value of 144 degrees, which means all of these angles are 144. Now, if we look at this shape over here, let me just highlight it. If you notice, the shape is symmetrical at that point. It has the same type of angle over here. Angle H and J, it's the same. Measurement is 144. We are equally dividing angle I, and the lengths have the same measurement as well. So that means this angle X will be over here as well. This would also be angle X. So let's begin with finding what X would be. So it's a polygon within a polygon, and we can find the sum of interior angles for this polygon. So sum of interior angles is going to be, we have how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So 5 minus 2 times 180. When it's just the sum of interior angles, you don't divide it by the number of sides. But when it's each interior angle, we divide by the number of sides. So 5 minus 2, 3 times 180 is going to be 540 degrees. So from 540, if we subtract 3 144s, so x would then be 540 minus 3 times 144, because 3 angles are 144, and then divided by 2, because both these angles are equal to x. So that's going to give us 54 degrees. Now we have to prove that y is also 54. So to prove that, let me just erase. So once again, we know that these are equal. This is also x, and this was 54. So this is also 54. Now, if we look at this, another polygon inside the polygon, this one has 4 sides. It's a quadrilateral and it has 2 equal angles. It will also be symmetrical. And this would also be symmetrical because angle B and angle C are the same. The 3 lengths are same. So these 2 angles are also going to be the same. So this will be the same as this. So let's find this angle. So for this angle, same thing we will do. Let's call this W. So W is going to be 360 minus 2 times 144 divided by 2, because W and W, these two W's are the same. So 360 minus 144 times 2 divided by 2 is 36 degrees. So this angle is 36 degrees. So now since we know that each interior angle equals to 144, so to find y, we do 144 minus 54 minus 36, and that also gives us 44 degrees. So this is how we can show that x and y are equal.